The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
This is Haymaker Combat Sports. Here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet science, MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars cause it's live. And through the fight game, we can guide ya. Slick talking, putting them in caution. Passing all the guards cause the audio is awesome. What you waiting for? Spread the word, tell a friend. This the podcast where all of the discussion ends. When they start going strike for strike, this the show that'll tell you what you seen in the fight. They ain't playing on the mic, this a welcome to the show. Warm it up for the squad, Haymaker of the bros. I'm a bow wow, you can hear it from the pros. It's Haymaker Combat Sports, time to roll.
Welcome back to Haymaker Combat Sports, powered by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. I'm your host, EJ Reed, joined by my fellow hosts, Aaron Anmeyer, Steve Johnson. How's it going, fellas?
Good.
Pretty good.
So we had a pay-per-view this past weekend. Before we get into that, how was y'all's guys' weekend?
It was good. I was late to the fights. I did get to watch the two main fights, but I went to the races Saturday night, watched some drag racing, so that was cool.
Oh yeah, this is your first time getting to go, right?
The first time I've went in a really long time. The first time I've got to go this year. It was dope, man. Just seeing old school rides that are just built fast. It gave me the bug, man. I kind of want to get one now.
Get what?
Something fast, man. Like my girlfriend's brother, he's got a 69 Camaro, but they had like there was a couple of them, like the 84 Monte Carlo SSs, just built and fast as fuck, man.
It's like muscle cars?
Yeah, it's all muscle cars.
They do like straight line, like the original Fast and the Furious when they race out there.
No, it's different. It's time trial racing. Like they get to go out there and practice a couple runs, and then they have to guess what time they're gonna get. But they're also racing against somebody else who guesses their time. So one car might be fast, one car might be slow, but it's whoever gets closest to the time they guessed. It's just about being consistent.
I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, because if it was heads up racing, whoever's got the most money is going to win. So they try to make it to whoever's the most consistent. If your car's built well, it's going to consistently run the same numbers.
I guess whoever is closest to their time wins.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
What if you know you have a shitty car and you pick like a slow ass time and just like pace yourself to like get that time? You
can do that, dude. I could put my car in it. You don't have to have a race car, but it's like these dudes are guessing it down to the like 100th of a second. Like it's not, you can't just say 8 seconds and hope you get somewhere in the eights. No, it's like down to the 100th of a second that they're guessing. And like these dudes are nailing it because it teaches them to shift right, to when the light turns green to take off right. It's a very, very complex thing.
Yeah, so getting it down to the 100th of a second, that'll make it like hard to time. Like if you were just trying to lowball it and do like at a certain pace. Yeah,
and I sat right at the finish line, and there are guys that know they got off the line real good, and they was going faster than they thought, and they'd let off the gas right before they got to the finish line to slow it down a little bit. Like it's a cool little fucking thing.
And your girl's brother was in it?
Yeah, he made it to like the 3rd round.
Damn, how many rounds are there?
I don't know. We left as soon as he was done. He the first race, the guy jumped the light, so he automatically won. The second race, he had to buy that round, so all he had to do was finish, and he won. Second round, third round, he jumped the light and got eliminated.
Damn. You don't get like a warning if you jump the light, that's it?
Nope. You're out.
Damn. And how often they do that out there?
Every Saturday.
Man, How much you have to like pay to race, get in there? I guess that's how they make their money.
Yeah, they got to pay to do it. I don't know how much he paid to do it. It was only $20 to get in and watch, so it was cool.
That's what's up. Sound like you had a jam-packed weekend. You do anything fun, Steve?
No, nothing too much. Just sat back and watched this this card. I mean, that was basically a highlight of mine. Just shit, not doing nothing.
Well, I didn't get to watch any. Well, I watched some of. I watched some like the last two kind of semi live. I saw the only fight I saw the whole thing through live was Kevin Holland, and we'll get into that once we start talking about the fights. But other than that, I was in Vegas this past weekend. I flew out there on Friday, stayed there this Sunday, and I guess I'll just skip the Clip Notes version there if you want. The more detailed version. Me and Rucker talked about it a good bit because he was out there on Boot to the Face. So check that out. But it was a good time, man. It was a bunch of us. Admire knows the little clique of people I was out there with. The Black Ice, Tom Brock, Rucker, of course. Rucker's brother. It's the first time I met Rucker's brother. He was pretty cool. Tommy Hinton was out there, and Jason Brown, downtown Jason Brown.
Was that everybody from the Black Carl's page?
Basically, nah, it's more people than that, but yeah, it was all of those guys are in the Black Carl page. So, I was that guy though. It was supposed to be a guy's trip, and I had my girlfriend with me. So, take that for what it's worth. But I couldn't have been that dude because I the last two trips I went without her, so. I kind of had to have my cake eat it too. I had to bring out. She's never been to Vegas either. I didn't want to be a complete asshole. So, well, I had kind of like a hybrid. I didn't want to like be the guy bringing her out there with all of their adventures. So we met them out for dinner Friday night, and then me and her kind of did our little side missions. We went to a nighttime pool party. It was just me and her, and Brucker and the fellas were doing God knows what off in their adventures. Strip clubs, of course.
In one of our chats, Rucker posted a bunch of black $100 chips, so he must have did good gambling Friday night.
Oh, he left. He went up like 2,000 leaving Vegas. He did well.
He does that every time. He leaves Vegas with money. The only person I know that consistently does it.
Say the only time he's ever lost money was I think his last trip, but it's been like his fifth or sixth trip in the past like year and a half or so. He goes there a lot. Like I've been going since 2011. I think this has only been my 8th time, and he's almost caught up to me. So it's starting to be his home away from home.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we went to like a nighttime pool party Saturday, and then I met up with Black Ice to eat brunch. He ate lunch with me and my girl, and we don't know where everybody else was. We invited everybody, but I guess they were still recovering from the night before. Then me and my girl went to a daytime pool party at Dre's, which is like really like the only hip hop pool party they have out there. Everything else is like EDM. And we saw a sign for like Big Sean, but we thought it was like a nighttime thing because Dre's is open at night. And lo and behold, he came out like in the middle of the day. And we're like, what? I guess he was supposed to perform. Big Sean just came out and started rapping. I'm like, okay.
Hell yeah.
And then my girl was just tired. So I met up with Rucker and them after that night, and we went to a speakeasy, like an old school speakeasy that was hidden behind the door, and they had burlesque dancers in there, and it was a good time.
Hell yeah.
Then Rucker does what Rucker does. He like just disappeared off in the night. We didn't know where he went off to, and I just hung out with Black Ice and Michael Rucker, the other Rucker. It's a good time, but in between me going to the speakeasy and me being exhausted from Dre's, I threw on the fight. I got back in time to throw the Kevin Holland fight on, and I've been drinking all day. So during the Sean Strickland fight, I dozed off, and I guess that kind of tells what kind of fight it was because I dozed off in it, and I woke up like when the Habib fight started, but I fell asleep during that too, and woke up like when it was finishing. So I really didn't get to watch the fights live, but I didn't have any hearings at work yesterday, so I had a bunch of writing to do. So I threw on the fights in the background and caught up with everything yesterday and watched all the fights on my lunch break and when I had a little downtime. So I caught up with everything. But yeah, it was a action-packed weekend as far as my weekend goes. But we are here to talk about the fights, UFC 302 that went down in Newark, New Jersey. And like we talked about on the last podcast, it really wasn't a lot of hype going into the fight. Admire, you said you saw a lot of hype going into it. Did you kind of feel the hype the day of the fight, turning it on the TV?
Yeah, this is a big one. I feel like we talked about it flying under the radar, and then last week I started getting all the TikToks and ads for it, and then it was like this weekend, everybody I knew that doesn't even pay attention to MMA was like, yeah, I'm watching the fights. I'm watching the fights. Like, I don't know if it was nothing else going on or just the fact that it was, Dustin Poirier's chance to have his Rocky moment. I don't know if a lot of people, Sean Strickland's fighting. So, I mean, a lot of hype did go into it that day.
Were you feeling the same type of hype, Steve?
I don't know. Maybe it was just the way I was flowing that week. But usually a fight, pay-per-view, I see it on my algorithm and didn't see it pop up too much. And my expectations, I wasn't as hype as I usually was, but I didn't see as far as the promotion side. I don't know if they were just bagging on just knowing it would be a given. These fighters would give the viewership. It's a question of itself.
Yeah, I don't know. Jersey fights are a little weird. Like, it's not Vegas, but I guess for the people that were fighting, like Emma said, maybe people want to see Poirier get his moment in the sun and, the type of fan base Strickland has. But I don't know. I wasn't really feeling like that, but I guess we'll find out when the numbers come out. But let's get into this actual card. In the early prelims, we had Andre Lima at catchweight because he missed weight, defeating Mitch Raposo by decision, split decision. We had Aline Perez in the women's bantamweight defeating Jocelyn Edwards. And in the welterweight, we had Basil Hafiz defeating Mickey Gall. So me and Amar only got to catch a fight on the regular prelims. I know you said you got to see a couple of these fights in the early prelims. Were any of these intriguing, Steve?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I see it. Hold on. My bad. My daughter came in. You see over there? Yeah, I did get to see it. Started paying attention at the Jocelyn Edwards and Alina Perez. And I saw controversy in that to where they said headbutt was on purpose. I guess it could have. I guess 60-70% it kind of looked like it, but it could have been just trying to, muscle her way in position. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that was kind of a hype in that fight. And for what it was, I guess it was that was a rivalry fight, if I'm not mistaken. If the commenters were saying, and I didn't know that, as far as they said it was big, as far as the not coaches, but the fight camps. So that was an all right fight. Of course, Mickey Gall, Basil. That was a back and forth. That was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a hype fight.
I know not all decisions are made equally. You can have like a back and forth war, but when I look at this card, all I see is decision up most of this card. I'm like, I don't know if this is worth going back and watch. But if you say it was a good fight, and I might go back and watch.
Is the Lima Raposo fight? Is that the one that was the bad judging? Because they went into the whole main card. They were talking about something that happened earlier with some bad judging, and then we'll talk about the other bad judging.
I heard it was an eye poke in the Lima fight, but I didn't get to watch it. I don't know if you know anything about it, Steve.
That's what I heard. I didn't get to see it, but I heard they were complaining about a bad call. And then in the future fights, there were bad, not bad call, but they had decision by the judges. I can't remember specifically which fights, but I think there was bad scoring all night.
Yeah, but we'll like you said, we'll get into that a little bit later. But I don't know, like, how's Mickey Gall still employed by the UFC? I haven't seen him win in a while, but you said it was a good fight. I feel like he's still riding the wave of fighting a pro wrestler. Like what are they doing with him still on the roster?
Well, I'm going to look up and see what his record is because I don't remember for sure.
I don't think it's good.
I don't think he's had a lot of wins. Let's go back to. Yeah, he's on a 3-fight skid right now. He did get a win in 2021. He lost to Mike Perry before that, got a win. Lost to Diego Sanchez before that, got a win. Well, yeah, he's been back and forth. He lost to Sage Northcutt, if that tells you anything.
Yeah, same Sage Northcutt that got his face broken in one championship. Yeah, I don't know why. It's not like he's bringing in viewers. I don't think he got that much of a rub off of beating CM Punk. So, like, I feel like there's more deserving fighters that probably deserve to be on the roster. But I digress.
Oh, no, he beat Sage Northcutt. I thought he lost to him, but yeah, either way, Sage Northcutt sucks. Mickey Gall sucks.
Yeah, so that is what it is, I guess. They need bodies for all these cars that they put on. But let's get into the results of the prelims that was on ESPN2. We had Jake Matthews defeating Philip Roy at welterweight. Lightweight, we had Wright Dawson defeating Joe Solecki. At heavyweight, we had Jalton Amida defeat Alexander Romanov. And the featured prelim, we had Roman Kopylov at middleweight defeating Cesar Almeida by decision. We're gonna save Jalton Almeida and Romanov a little later because all of us watched that one. But as far as the other fights, any of these other fights stand out to you, Steve?
Not too much. I mean, the Cesar Almeida and Roman Kopylov, that was pretty good. Roman was pretty strong. It got in the beginning, but Cesar Almeida, he was getting momentum and starting to get back with him. But of course, Kopylov, he won that, so that was a good fight to amp up for the main card, so to speak. And other than that, nothing too much stood out on the prelim.
I know you're a Philip Rowe fan, and you said you got the chance to kind of skim that fight. What was going on with him? Why did he lose?
Well, to me, he looks like a comfortable fighter in there, but to me, I don't think he had his rhythm right with Jake Matthews. From what I saw, he can get there in there and get in the pocket, but it seemed like when he wanted to trade fire, he was getting caught pretty good. Not from what I remember, not too much to where he was compromised, but he was getting caught pretty good when he played in the phone booth with him. And he was starting to stay on the outside, but sometimes he would firefight with him. And I think, me remembering, he was losing those exchanges between Jake. So I think that's why he lost it.
Gotcha. Well, a fight that all of us did catch in the heavyweight division was Jalton Almeida, a guy who was hyped up, and he took an L his last fight, and he bounced back against Alexander Romanov, got the submission, and he was able to take him down pretty easily and just popped on his back like a boa constrictor and eventually got the RNC. It was impressive, but I don't know. What were y'all thoughts on this one?
I don't think Romanov even got a punch or a strike in. I don't think he threw anything, landed anything. I just think he got taken down and was in survival mode. So, I mean, there isn't really a lot to learn from this fight when one person didn't get to fight. It was just, I mean, yeah, Jalton Almeida dominated him, but that doesn't tell us anything.
Yeah. Steve, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he knew it, and I think he was gun shy, and then all it took is Almeida to get his leg in a takedown, from what I remember, and it was over. Uh, Alton must be pretty strong, and not to say he couldn't, but to, you know, I guess nothing was shown too much, but to wrap around somebody that big and just constrict, I think he tapped him real quick too. Like you said, Boa constrict him, and I think he would tap within a second and a half. So that tells you his grit on that rear naked. I think it was a rear naked, right?
Yeah, it's an RNC.
Yeah.
Yeah, right naked choke.
Yeah. So that was pretty simple for him, and of course that was a given because that was the number 13th rank. So maybe he'll get back and fighting somebody competitive for, going up in the rankings now.
Yeah, man. That brings me to my next point. Like we talked earlier on the previous show, he had a lot of hype. He's young as far as the heavyweight division goes. He's 32, and he kind of had that stumble against Curtis Blades. But now, after bouncing back after this win, where does he go from here as far as competition? Admire, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, he's still in there, and I mean, he's still up there. Luckily, the heavyweight division, there isn't a lot there. I mean, you have them same guys that have been around forever. So, I mean, throw him back up there in the mix. I mean, let him get in there with, I don't know, Volkov, Pavlovich, somebody like that. I think Stipe's tied up. I think Aspinall's got a fight booked.
He does with Curtis Blades rematch. Aspinall got hurt.
And who just knocked out Almeida? It was Blades, right?
Yeah, KO punches.
Has Gone and Almeida fought?
I mean, only two. Well, now that he fought Romanov, Romanov is ranked 13. But before that, only like two high-level dudes he faced was Rosenstruck and Black Beast. He beat Black Beast and Rosenstruck, and then he lost to Blades.
Well, I mean, you got a lot of options. Tuivasa, Spivak.
I mean, I want to see him fight Polfovich. That was the first thought in my head. And like you said, Spivak, I forgot about him. Those two choices, I would say, would be his best bet, especially because Popovich, I think that's his name. I don't think he's fought in a while since Aspinall.
No, he hasn't, I don't think.
And that's barring that none of these guys don't have any fights. Do we know about any of these guys having fights lined up soon?
I don't. Surreal Gone. I thought I seen him have something lined up.
I think he got a call. Well, I don't know if he has something lined up, but he did get a call out.
Who called him out?
Well, I think that's who he called. Who called out Cyril Gone? I think it was him.
I don't think Gone has anything lined up. So I mean, that's a good fight, but that's quite a jump up there. I mean, Gone's number 2. Almeida just fought, and he's what, number 13? No, 7. Almeida. Yeah, no, okay, so that ain't bad. And I think everybody else above him, except for Gone, maybe Pavlovich, doesn't have anything lined up. So there's somebody in there. There's somebody in some way to get him in. I mean, and if he just turned around and came off that loss and fought that quick, coming off of a win where he didn't even get touched, and he's ready. Throw him back in a couple months.
Yeah. Like you said, Gone, it's all relative, though. He's 7'2". I guess what does it really matter once you're in the top 10? But you kind of want to have some type of system where you're not just ruining people's standings just to rush other people. So you had it pulled up. If they have a guy ranks a little slightly less than Gone, like a Tybura, I think Tybura just fought, if I'm not mistaken, because I remember discussing when this fight.
Yeah, Tibura's ranked at 8, so I mean they're real close. That fight, it could happen.
Yeah, so do like top 5 through 10.
5 through 10, you got Volkov, Stipe, Jalton, Tybura, Spivak, and Black Beast.
Yeah, Tybura beat Tai Tuivasa back in March. I remember. Yeah, I mean that sounds like a good fight to me. But yeah, like you said, we didn't really learn a lot from that fight. Still don't really know how good this guy is. So hey, it's either sink or swim. So we'll keep our eye out on what happens with Almeida in the future. But let's jump into the main card, fellas. Kicking this one off in the welterweight division, we had Randy Brown defeating Elizu Zaleski dos Santos by unanimous decision. All three of us picked Randy Brown to win. And round one, I thought Randy Brown looked good and used his length to keep the distance and was outstriking Dos Santos and landed the big knee at the end of the round. A couple accidental eye pokes. I know there was some controversy behind that because the ref didn't give the fighter the proper time to recover. So I'll get y'all thoughts on that a little later. Round two, Dos Santos cracked Brown with a nice right hand, but Brown recovered. And Dos Santos did a good job of using the grappling to get back in the fight. But Brown also finished that round strong and with some grappling. So ain't no telling how the judges saw that round, but I think Dos Santos dominated most of that round. And there was a lot of inactivity in that third round. Brown hit a knee and opened up some striking with about 2 minutes left. And Dos Santos did some defensive grappling, but didn't really do a lot on his own. And he went for that last-ditch sub, but it was a little bit too late for him to get that done. And Brown was able to pull out the decision. Admire, what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, just like you said, I mean, Brown came out strong in the first round, did real good. Kind of opened up the second round pretty good. Then, they had a lot of, ground fighting and all that, but he kind of picked it back up towards the end of it. I gave the second round to Dos Santos, and then, Brown kind of looked the same in the third round as he did the first, kind of walked away with it. So it was all right.
Steve, what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, he looked pretty good. When I first saw him on the ground, I was seeing if, he's going to let this dude, lay on him or if he had potential to get back up. And as he did that reversal and shows that he can get up off the ground. And as he always looks pretty firm in his striking, feels like he can control it. Long fighter, has an arsenal of striking. And like Admire said, he looked as like he did in the first as he did in the third. And I think that's what got him to win. And I'm liking his call outs at the end of his fight. I can't remember if he said specifically. But
he said Jeff Neal. He won Jeff Neal.
I like that call out. He's calling the calling those fights that he needs. And I like that. So big ups to him.
So let's go back to these accidental eye pokes. He did it twice. Brown did to Dos Santos, and the ref just like keep fighting. And in between rounds, I guess he had to talk to a backup ref. I want to say they said he was talking to a ref on the sideline. I know they were in New Jersey, and it's not Vegas, so I don't know about their commission. But it just seemed like a mess, and I don't know. What were your thoughts on this, Admire?
Yeah, it was really weird. There was a lot of stuff that it made it seem like they don't have fights often or something. Like every state needs to send their people who are licensed to ref and judge to like some kind of educational summit every year, or they need to test every year, retrain something, because there's no reason a ref should be asking another ref clarifying questions. Like, you never see a Herb Dean or, one of the other guys asking for clarification on rules or what they should have done. It was really amateurish the way the reffing and the judging was.
Very rarely they do it. I forgot which the bald. We talked about it at one time, EJ, with one of the bald refs,
Dan Mergliata.
Mergliata, and I remember he had controversy with the fight. Probably recollect to me later, but he asked Herb Dean, but that was on a more serious for something this simple. Like Admire said, it looks amateur. That can be simple. If you're gonna ask a secondary ref, it better be over something to where, heck, if I remember what that situation was, it has to be rare.
Well, what was your suggestion again, Admire? You said they're bringing it from other states.
Well, anybody who's a licensed judge or referee, official, whatever you want to call them, there should be a yearly training or a test or some kind of summit where they bring them all together and they go over everything. Like, I think that the refs for the NFL have it. I think the umps for the MLB do it. Like, they have a once a year meeting where they just go over this stuff, because this is really not just a sport. When it comes down to it, it isn't calling a flag wrong or calling a ball or strike wrong. This is people's lives and health. So these guys should be the top of the list doing that. I had another idea when I thought of it, though. Why not, all the refs are there. What do they have at a UFC event? Probably 5 refs. Why not have 2 refs in the cage at the same time? When they're standing up, have one on each side, because a lot of times eye pokes are missed from one side or something is missed. If you had 2 refs in there, a lot of that shit wouldn't, go unnoticed, but it would take care of that problem. But also, you would have 2 people in there. You would have to make them agree that somebody's done for the TKO or for the submission when somebody can't tap. It would stop a lot of the early or late stoppages as well if you had 2 refs in there at once.
It sounds good in concept, but then it'd be like, I think it'd be controversy thinking that maybe the refs are corrupt if the majority of people are saying this dude is done and one ref is trying to stop it and the other was like, no, keep it going. That would be a little bit sticky. And also, even though it doesn't seem like our body is taking up much space, it's a lot of space in the cage. So if you had 2 people in there, it'd probably limit the amount of things the directions the fighters could go even more. So
yeah, it could limit the mobility and kind of cut them off.
Yeah.
They're trying to cut each other off, and there's an extra guy in the way. So I could see that, but I mean, this is where there needs to be more replay.
Yeah.
Or some kind of lead judge outside of the ring watching a screen that can say, no, I seen that. Yeah, no, that was an eye poke. You need to stop it.
That would definitely work. Having like another outside of the cage judge that's on the monitor that gives the word to the other judge, like, no, you got to stop it. I don't know why they wouldn't do anything, because they have the technology to. I know you don't want too many hands in the pot, because what's the theory? Like, you got to go, if you do something, maybe racing or maybe another sport, where you got to go full speed. You can't be hesitant in there, or you might mess up even more.
All right.
But yeah, but I definitely think having an outside judge would definitely help, because like you said, this is people's health on the line, and you can't play fighting. You just go in there. But I don't know. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I think it's crazy. I think they could implement it, but I don't know if there's a hidden culture behind refereeing, the lore behind it. I know Herb Dean, he always expresses in his interviews that he wants to interfere. He wants to interfere with the fight as less as possible and let the fight be as natural as possible. So, you wonder why they don't use cameras, and then when they do use a camera, I wonder why they shut off. They say the fight is over. I don't know. Maybe if any momentum of the fight is stopped, besides injury in the fight or temporary eye poke or anything, I think they stop the fights. And I don't know if that crosses over in any other combat sports, if it's like that.
If they stop the fights in what scenario?
For stopping the fights for looking into something.
A
For a
foul?
foul, or
Yeah, they do it in boxing.
And without stopping the fight, or because it seems like UFC, it seems like when they use the replay, they stop the fight altogether.
Oh, I don't know about if boxing's replay system. I know they'll give a wrestler like an accidental headbutt. They'll pause it and take a point away in boxing.
I think
or intentional headbutt. My bad. Go ahead.
You said headbutt. It shot in my head the memory. The Kevin Holland was fighting somebody, and he actually got a headbutt, and they had they stopped the fight, and Dan Margliotta asked Herb Dean. If y'all don't remember that fight, he got headbutted and almost got knocked out from the headbutt. And then dude was almost got a TKO. And then they stopped the fight, and they talked about it, and they reversed it into a no contest. That is the incident I remember. So that was crazy when they went to the replays on that and stopped the fight altogether, and then called it a no contest.
Kevin Holland versus Kyle Dawkins.
Yep, I think that was it. Was it that? Yeah,
and it knocked Holland unconscious.
Yeah, it damn near did. And the fight, it was crazy because he let the fight go on, stopped the fight, and then looked at the cameras, and then reversed the call, or not reversed, just called it no contest when it looked like a TKO.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Steve.
I think the controversy was he didn't call it in real time and then went back to call it, which I don't think that's fair for the fighter.
Yeah, that just sounds like the whole situation was muddy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. One more point on this. Admire, I know you were saying that more training, and I agree, more training would help. But I think this is a situation where either you built for it or you're not, because they can give you all the extra training that they can, but once the bright lights come on, you got to be able to perform, because sometimes, like, this guy may be well trained, but when the bright lights come on, they just kind of mess up. So I think they should keep a tab on how you do. See how many times you mess up in situations like that, and hey, if you're not doing a good job, we gotta let you go. I don't know.
Yeah, it's something they should like give the refs some kind of point system. Like you get so many strikes, then you're out. Like you only get so many blown calls or misjudgments.
And I know you're a baseball guy, Admire. Like, how that umpire just retired. How come somebody like that gets to stay on for so long?
They have a union, and the union protects them. And with him, Angel Hernandez, they pretty much, there's no evidence of it, but no umpire retires 30 games into the season. They basically told him, you're so bad, we're either going to can you or you retire gracefully. So
he could get his pension and whatnot if he retired.
Right. So, I mean, I could see that there being like some a ref union or something someday, whenever a fighters union comes along. But as of right now, there's not. And I mean, I don't know how the commissions work in all the states, but like I've worked at some MMA events, and it's like they just grab people who are like licensed promoters or people who own gyms and stuff like that. That's how they get the judges and the refs at the local events. I'm sure the states have a better way of finding people, but in a state like I'm guessing like New Jersey, where there isn't a lot of MMA events, I am guessing that they use boxing refs.
Probably. Yeah. It feels like we talk about problems with reffing and judging on a regular basis, and we've been doing this show for over a year and no type of movement and making it better. And it's just a annoying topic to keep bringing up, but we gotta keep bringing it up when it happens. It's discussion, but yeah, interesting. But let's get into this next fight, fellas. At the welterweight division, we had Nico Price defeating Alex Morono by unanimous decision. Steve was the only one that picked Nico Price. Me and Admire both picked Alex Morono. And round one, Morono looked really good. He displayed his grappling prowess in the first half. And when they got back to their feet, the second half of the first round, both guys were landing some pretty good shots. But I think Morono was landing the cleanest shots. And I guess that first round woke up Nico Price. Round two, Morono seemed to be gassed as well. Price landed a big right hand in the middle of the round and controlled Morono on the ground for the remainder of that second round. And more so in the third round, Price was able to take advantage of a fatigued Morono and just kept beating to the punch every time and just seemed like the faster guy and got the unanimous decision. What were your thoughts on this one, Admire?
Yeah, I mean the round one opened up and I was like, oh, yep, I got this one. You know, Nico Price gonna lose, and then he looked like a whole different fighter coming out in the second. I mean, like you said, it's like he woke up, and you know, you got so many of them losses in a row. You're getting beaten already down one round. I think it just the dog came out in him, and you know he turned it up a lot. And I think that Morono, it just kind of was wore down a little bit, getting it halfway through the second. And, shout out to Nico. He's back in the win column.
Steve?
Yeah, I think this is the most fight out of all cards that we had really two fatigued fighters at the end of round three. From what I remember, they were tired, and especially Morono. They were mentioning how he was throwing his shots. And I think they mentioned it. The way he throws shots is like, it's weird. They mentioned his legs are stiff and he bounces up and I guess never settles his feet to get a good power under his feet. And I think maybe that's what it was. And I think he fatigued a lot, which made Nico Price, keep on workhorsing ahead to hit him. I think he did a good job. And
yeah, I think Morono needs to work on that gas tank a little bit because it's a 3-round fight. It's not like that heavyweight, so he just needs to work on the cardio a little bit. But it was a fine fight. Nothing too mind blowing. But those are guys that I think you could have probably put on the prelims. But outside of the last 3 fights, and this card wasn't anything mind blowing as far as being stacked like a 300. But like I said, it was a fine fight. But let's jump into the second. Well, I guess it was the third card in the fight. We had Kevin Holland in the middleweight division defeating Michal Olazesha by technical submission, armbar. All 3 of us had Kevin Holland, and not a whole lot to this fight. So Olazesha checked. He landed a big left, and once they got to the ground, Holland got the armbar, and nothing too big, just broke his arm. And that's why it was a technical submission, because Herb Dean went in there and stopped it, and Michal's arm was hanging like a wet noodle, and it was pretty disgusting. What were your thoughts on this one, Admire?
Yeah, man. I don't ever remember Holland starting out at such a fast pace like this, and I'm wondering if it's just because who his dance partner was. But I mean, they were getting after it at the opening, just throwing, and then that big left happened and set the whole sequence of events. But I mean, how tough is that dude? Like, and I don't want to be mean, but like, how dumb are you? Like, you can't go anywhere. You're stuck, and he's got your arm. Like, I know you don't want to tap, but you're not going anywhere. And now you got a broken arm because you didn't like just give up. Like, like he was in a bad position. And I was like, there's no way he's getting out of that. There's no moves he can make. And Holland wrenched on it a good like 20, 30 seconds, just over and over. He had to have known that his own arm was going to break very soon. But, whatever. It ain't me, but he's tough and dumb.
Tough and dumb. That was nasty. Steve, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah. I started moving like this when injuries and stuff because I was cringing when I was watching it. I was saying tap or let go. Not even just say to let go, the submission. Just I knew it was happening. Coincidentally, I think it was Herb Dean, right?
Yeah, it was Herb Dean.
Tim Sylvia, the same thing. He didn't see it. I saw it he looked like he was over it, but I saw it on the pay-per-view. It snapped and he held it for a good 4 or 5 more seconds, didn't he? And then it got terrible when he started bending in an angle, and it started going in the triangle. I'm like, he's done. But like Admire said, I thought the exact same thing. I can't say nothing, although it wasn't smart. Those things can be career ending, but that's a man you got to commend. That's a warrior. He didn't tap.
So he contested the finish because he didn't tap, but Herb Dean went in there, stopped it, and did what he needed to do. Herb Dean, the past 2-3 years, has been getting complaints about his stoppages, whether early or late. I think it was a good stoppage. His arm was broken, and the ref, his job is to protect the fighters from themselves. So, any controversy behind the stoppage in y'all's eyes?
Not for me. I mean, it was the right call. I mean, that's not a slight injury. That's letting a guy lose one of his limbs, one of his tools to protect himself and to fight. If Herb would have let it go, I mean, what's next? Like, the guy's arm's broken, he's not tapping. What's Holland going to do next? He's going to rip it off, or if he let go and they stood back up, now the guy's got one arm, in a fight. Like, that's not fair either. You're going to let the dude get battered. Like, his job's to protect the fighter. He did the right thing, and I'll stand by that.
I agree. How about you, Steve?
I didn't look on any social medias, but just from what I thought, looking at it, I thought the controversy was Herb didn't catch it early enough. That's what I thought. And of course, I heard about the controversy. He's still wanting to fight, but I was wondering myself if anybody saw that it was held on for a little bit more after it broke. I saw it snap like Tim Sylvia's did, and I was surprised Herb didn't catch it early enough. So it's almost Kevin had to almost tell him that it was broke for him to even start to stop the fight.
Yeah, I mean, he had the arm wrenched back and pulled, but I mean, I don't know. It's, to me, I was like, oh, he must not have it. It must not be extended as much as I thought. And then it was like, oh, yeah, it is. Never mind. So I don't know, man. I'm not against
top.
Yeah. I'm not against the stoppage, even when in any other fight, when somebody's arm is getting extended like that, or somebody's legs getting extended like that, or I'm not against it. Like, you can't fight with a broken bone like that. If you had a broken bone going into that fight, they would not let you fight. So if you get a broken bone during that fight, they can't let you continue. Just like, like John Jones, when he fought Chael Sonnen and broke his toe, like, if that finish wouldn't have happened then, and they would have went between rounds, they would have called that fight off with the broken bone because you can't fight with it. So even if Herb would have let it keep going and it would have got to the, between the first and second round, they wouldn't have let him go back and continue with a broken arm.
Yeah. Like Steve asked earlier, I don't think there was a lot of controversy behind it. It was more so from the fighter. And I don't know. They probably could have stopped it earlier, but hey, you can't complain that Dean didn't give you enough time to get out of it, and he didn't. And like Amar said, it was clearly broken. So fighter can complain all he wants, but yeah, the Herb Dean definitely saved him from himself. But it was pretty gruesome. But before we move on to the next fight, we don't have to spend too much time on this. But like I said on the previous show, Holland's kind of a gatekeeper. What's next for him, really, at this point?
I was looking at that. He's fought everybody that's ranked from 9 to 14, and he's number 15. So he's gonna have to repeat a fight with somebody. The only one he lost to, no, I think he's beat them. Well, I think he's beat them all. I mean, MVP, it's too early to run that back for sure. But I mean, the only person that he hasn't fought that's even close is number 8, Sean Brady.
Yeah. I don't know if Sean Brady has a fight lined up, but why not run that? Might as well.
Kind of have to, because I mean, like I said, he's fought everybody. He lost to Stephen Thompson. You could run that back, but that was just 2 years ago. Not even 2 years ago. He lost to Brunson. Brunson's not around anymore. So I mean, he's gonna have to fight somebody that already beat or go up to Sean Brady.
Sean Brady was scheduled to face Luque at that fight night, the St. Louis one. Oh no, this was an Apex one, my bad. But he had an injury, which happens a lot, and Buckley replaced him. So now Brady doesn't have a fight lined up, so why not run that?
I guess Kevin Holland hasn't fought Luque, and they're ranked close to the same.
They haven't?
Yeah, I'm looking through it again just to double check my math, but no, he hasn't fought Luque. Everybody else he has. So you got Sean Brady or Luque. But I mean, Holland is never going to be inside that top 5. So he's gatekeeper status. But I'm never betting against him again, and I've learned my lesson, and it paid off this time.
I mean, you never know where the cards may fall. How old is Kevin Holland? Like 32, 33?
31.
Yeah, so I don't see him cracking the top 5 anytime soon, but we've seen fighters have not resurges, but surges in the latter half of their career, like Jorge Masvidal. He had 2 title fights in a row after losing the first one. You had Glover Teixeira win the title at 40, so you never know. But yeah, I'm with you. I see him not really cracking the top 5 just because he still has a lot of holes in his game going up against some of these more elite fighters. But you need guys like that to fill the cards, fun action fighters that may not be that well-rounded, but will put on a show and can talk some. So I'm not mad at that. But fellas, let's hop into this co-main event. At middleweight, we had the former UFC middleweight champion Sean Strickland defeating Paulo Costa by split decision. So we'll get into that a little later. I'm the only one that picked Sean Strickland this one. Admire and Steve picked Paulo Costa to win this one. So round 1, Costa was able to land some nice leg kicks, but Strickland powered through it and continued to press forward, and that was pretty much the theme of this fight. Round 2 was up for the taking, and nobody landed really anything significant until the final minute of the round when Strickland landed that straight left and dropped Costa. So I think he was able to steal that round. Costa got some good body work in the middle of at the beginning of the third round, and Strickland checked a leg kick later in that round, and Strickland was the more pressing forward fighter, but neither guy really landed anything that stood out to me in that third round. And that fourth round could have went either way. Nothing that stood out to me in that one. And round 5, not so much going on until Strickland started landing those crazy wild kicks in like the last 10 seconds of the round. My view is I think Strickland won all around except that fourth one, but I guess we'll get into the more specifics of this one after I get y'all's thoughts on this one. What were your thoughts on this one, Amir?
I hate fights like this. Like, I expected a war, you know. I expected a finish in this fight either way. There was a lot of hype going into it, you know. Like I mentioned on the pre-show, me, like a lot of people, still living on that hype of Strickland beating Izzy the way he did. Like, this fight just did not live up to the hype, and it hurt my heart. As far as the fight itself, the action, there wasn't even a lot of action. I mean, Strickland's got this weird movement. It reminds me of how Keith Jardine used to fight. You can't really hit the guy because you don't know which way he's moving. He's just like, he's constant. Like, if you notice, Strickland constantly high steps because he's anticipating leg kicks. So you can't kick his legs because his legs are constantly bouncing, and he's just all over the place. For me, Paulo Costa, done. Just get rid of him. Like,
wow.
He showed nothing in that fight at all. Like, nothing, in my opinion. The Paulo Costa that we seen the other night couldn't beat anybody in the top 15. Like, he didn't look like he wanted to fight. You know, he talked a bunch of shit coming into this. We've seen him in wars before, and I don't know if his losses on his record scare him now, but he just doesn't even seem like he wants to be there. He knew, well, I can't say that. We knew he was down. His corner was telling him he was up. You know, I think it was between the second and third round, his corner said we're up 2 rounds. Like, maybe he's around the wrong people, but it wasn't a good fight, especially on his part.
Wow. Before I get into your thoughts, Steve, I disagree with that. I feel like even though it's points of the fight where he definitely could have put his foot on the gas, he's facing a number 1 ranked guy, and it was still a split decision. Even I don't agree with that decision. I think it should have been unanimous, but I think he may smoke like anyone else in the top 15 besides like a Sean Strickland or like a Izzy. It's just a bad matchup for him. Like I said, I told y'all ring rust may come in factor. Maybe he's finally getting in his groove, but I don't think he should be out of the company. Like, it was just a bad matchup for him. And Sean Strickland has that awkward style. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I think you kind of overreacting to him needing to be out of the company.
Yeah, I mean, probably I am, but it just it didn't show me anything. Like, you're talking about you want to be the champion and stuff. Like, do you know what DDP would have done to that dude? That version of Paulo Costa, DDP would have wrecked him. The Paulo Costa that I remember is the guy that went to war with, you know, Yoel Romero, Uriah Hall, Luke Rockhold. Even, you know, he put up a good fight against Izzy. You know,
Izzy kind of ran through him, but his last fight, he didn't look bad at all. So I think it might have been a bad matchup. Top 15, definitely top 115 through 10. I think he would smoke. I think he would probably win pretty comfortably against 5 through 10, but getting into the top 5, you know, that's a little murky, like we just saw. But you know, UFC holds on to these fighters where they're not even fighting ranked people. So he definitely smoked an unranked person. Just a bad matchup, like you said. He didn't look really good in it, but
I'm butthurt coming off of it,
especially because you picked them.
That too.
Steve, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, It may have been a bad matchup. I mean, like Costa fought like he came off a knockout his last fight. You know, he got knocked out or something. Timid. It didn't seem like him as far as like trying to unleash his force on his opponent. I saw that one. I think one kick. You know, Paulo Costa can launch a body kick or a leg kick, and I think Sean Strickland checked one of them to where you can evidently see that where he was limping right after that one. Like I think that was the most evident checked kick when somebody is hurt after it, and so I took him a while to limp that one off. And but for Sean Strickland, yeah, it was a good win. I think that's what I'm just gonna expect from him from now on. I'm not any but decision or maybe catch somebody in TKO because we yet to see a dominant win, you know, just straight up just go through your opponent. I think we're just going to see Strickland as a strong fighter that you have to keep up with endurance wise. We're just talking about another fighter. You know, we had KO champions that can submit. I guess Strickland is just going to be that for the long road type of fighter, and I think that's what he is. I hope for him to knock somebody out or prove this mad maniac mindset, and I haven't seen it yet, but good win for him though.
And let's expound on that a little bit more. So we've seen a big enough sample size. Sean Strickland talks a big game about how he's going to kill somebody and catch a body in a cage, and we still haven't seen it up to this date. So at this point, can we just say that he is what he is? We're going to get a nice, technically sound fight for him. We're not going to see any type of violence or aggression in there. And he's just going to tell his fan base that and then not do that in the cage. What do you think, Admire?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think. I can't even think of who I was trying to think of, but there was somebody else like that. There was somebody else that was like a number one contender, and they always talked a big game, but it was always decisions. And it is like Strickland has 2 finishes in the last like 10 fights. Like he has this aura and this hype of somebody that's a violent guy. But when you really look at the fights, he's a really technical, smart fighter. He's a volume fighter and not a power fighter. So I don't think we're ever going to see that. I think that he does need a knockout, or he needs something to like credit him. You know, his fight style doesn't match the shit that he talks, if that makes sense.
And I think he's a lot smarter than some people may give him credit for. Of course, his fan base thinks he's the best guy in the world, but he knows that social media and everything outside the cage is how he could bring the people to watch this fight and rile his fan base up. And then he goes in there and just does what he needs to do to win and win a smart fight. And if nobody really says anything about it, like his fan base, then he's going to just keep doing that and keep getting people to watch this fight.
I got it. He's like Kid Rock. Kid Rock says a bunch of crazy shit that panders to only his fans.
Mm-hmm.
Kid Rock talks this redneck life, this thug life, but he grew up a rich kid. Like, so that's exactly what it is like he's just like Strickland panders to his fan base, but he like kind of lives a different life that you really don't see about, or he walks the walk a different way than he kind of talks about. He's the Kid Rock of the UFC.
Oh, so both of them are kind of like the Drake of their respective genres then.
Right. Yeah, Drake, another example. Yeah. So exactly like that.
I don't know. I knew he wasn't going to go in there and just wreck shop, but I don't know how I called it in the previous show. If I called the method Strickland was going to win, I just knew he was going to do a Strickland, safe technical fight. And I don't know. I feel like if it was any other fighters, everybody would be trashing a fighter that went in there and did this. Like if it was like a Max Holloway or a Usman or a guy we'll talk about later, if it was a Poirier that went in there and talked this big game and did boring decisions, I feel like they would be getting ripped by fans. But he's been able to create his niche, and I guess if it keeps working for him, then why stray away from that if you're gonna keep winning?
But this one, I kind of see it on this one though. It wasn't really his fault though, because I mean, Costa really didn't engage a lot. It didn't press forward. Costa did a lot of backing up. Like that's why Sean at the end of the fight did those crazy kicks, because he knew that nothing was going to happen. So I kind of give him a pass for having a snoozer on this one, but too many more snoozers. He's got to live up to the hype. He's got to do something.
But why does he get a pass? I feel like Justin Gaethje, you can try to make a boring fight, but he's gonna run you. He's gonna walk you down and make you fight.
Yeah, but everybody Gaethje's spot's been willing to stand toe to toe in fight. You know, like Strickland almost had to run Costa down a couple times.
I don't know. This just seems like it's a trend. Like it's saying you're giving them benefit of the doubt, but what other evidence that do you have where this is not the norm for him? Besides that, him fighting a non-ranked fighter when he got that TKO, like I guess a year or two ago now.
I mean,
and he caught Izzy, and he still didn't finish him. He hurt Izzy pretty badly. Like I feel like a lot of other fighters would have probably finished Izzy in that situation.
Right? Yeah, you're right. What can we do?
As I'm saying, he is what he is, and I just roll my eyes at because I guess his fans like that he talks like that and doesn't back it up, but I just ignore it and roll my eyes at when he talks about how he wants to kill people in the cage. I don't know. I'll get your final thoughts on this, Steve, and we'll move on to the main event.
Yeah, that's what I feel about it. I think he may legitimately feel that way. You just don't have the hands to express it. And I think that's his problem. I think we've seen many examples, social media, Sneeko, I guess, he got him in the cage, and he looks the same as he spars as he does as he fight. He honestly does. I just don't think he has it. Maybe it's his style. He doesn't reach in too much, and if he does, maybe it's for a straight, but he never reaches or puts any emphasis on his punches. Maybe that's why. Plus, he stands straight up and throws him from there. So maybe that's part of his power transfer on how he throws his punches. Probably why he can't generate enough KO power most of the time. Because, like you said, the way he caught Izzy with a good straight, and he was throwing those hooks and he couldn't get him out of there, and he regained his composure. So I think it's a power problem.
Yeah. Can't teach power. But actually, one more thing for me in the main event. He's calling for a title fight next. Is there been anything announced with DDP and Adesanya? I feel like it would be, if he's calling for a title fight next, it would be DDP next. Because isn't Adesanya quasi-retired?
Yeah, it's pretty much from everything that I've heard and kind of the way the commentators talk and everything. It's pretty much they're going to run it back with DDP.
Huh. So Adesanya really isn't coming back till 2027.
I guess that's his plan.
Well, that's stupid of Adesanya because you're wasting years of your prime, and the DDP fight writes itself. But they're running back DDP and Strickland. And I'm gonna watch just because we have this show, but not interested really. I don't see that being an exciting fight, but it is what it is. And I mean, that's the only fight you can really make at middleweight. So
I think it would be more exciting than their first fight, just because I think Strickland knows that, like, he didn't put any pressure on and like has to come in with a completely different game plan.
Only reason it may be different is because he lost, but I don't see him going out of his shell and fighting differently. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. Uh, you only can tell once they actually step in the cage, but I'm not putting my expectations that high for that one. But I'm sure that'll happen probably in December. I don't see them making that before MSG if they do make it soon. So
Nah, it'll be a long time, I imagine.
we'll see what happens with that. Let's hop into the main event, fellas. In the lightweight division for the undisputed light heavyweight championship, we had Islam Makhachev defeating Dustin Poirier by Darce choke submission in the 5th round. This was an interesting fight. I feel like this was a card saving type of fight because other than this fight, it wasn't a whole lot going on with this card overall. If you include the prelims, you had the Holland nasty arm break, but besides that, not a whole lot going on with this card. But in that first round, Islam shot and got the takedown and roughed Dustin up on the ground for the majority of that first round. And round 2, Dustin was able to get back up from an early takedown, and it ended up being a pretty solid back and forth on the feet, and both guys traded shot. But I feel like Islam was able to steal that round when he got that takedown at the end of the round. And round 3, he landed Islam landed that big knee and was able to work his way on the inside and get the takedown. And Dustin was able to get back up after a couple of minutes, and I think Islam edged Dustin out on the feet for the remainder of that 3rd round. In round 4, about halfway through it, Dustin apparently hurt his leg defending that takedown, and I don't really know what happened because I didn't really follow up with the interviews after it. But Dustin was able to power through it and able to get some body work on Islam and cut Islam pretty badly in that 4th round. So he showed some fight throughout the fight. He just didn't give up, but Islam wasn't really trying to play that stand-up game and clinch with him towards the end of the 4th round, and did that for the remainder of the round. And halfway through that 5th round, they were grappling, and I don't know if I've seen this, but Islam got that leg pick and got him down to the ground, and then got the Darce choke and was able to close out the show and get the win. And still, your undisputed lightweight champion, Islam Makhachev. What were your thoughts on this one, Amar?
Yeah, I mean, it turned out to be a better fight than I expected. Take down right away in the 1st round, and I was like, "Oh, this is it." But I mean, Dustin, he defended so many submission attempts, and he did great on the ground through the whole fight. I think it was the 3rd round that Dustin's nose got broke, and then I remember what you were talking about with his leg is he did something. It's almost like he hopped on one leg trying to get out and maybe came down wrong and twisted his knee, but he did hurt his leg in that as well. Towards the later parts of the fight, I was like, man, Dustin could catch him, but then you could kind of see his power kind of dwindling the longer the fight went on. So even if he landed some clean shots, they weren't as hard as some of the earlier shots could have been. I wanted Dustin to win so bad and just have his moment, but it wasn't there. It was real surprising that he could defend so many submission attempts. Islam went for that neck so many times. Dustin played that, holding his head to kind of keep him away. So it was a good fight. Ain't nothing to be sad about on Dustin's part. Makhachev, I mean, I have my idea for who I want him to fight, but I'll let y'all go.
Steve?
Yeah, it was a good fight. Like Admire said, I was like, well, thanks for letting me stay up this whole card just to see you lose. But he got through it. And I was like, okay. And then started defending takedowns. I'm like, okay. And like you said, I think there was a grappling situation to where It was a kind of tussle. I think it was against the fence or something. I think I don't know if it was he never specified if it was a knee or something, or I don't know. I don't know how much that affected the fight, but I think I expressed on the last podcast to where I feel like he has the tools. He just has to be mentally focused and his mental power. And I think he kept it all the way until the end where that leg pick. And I think he chose time to rest where he shouldn't have. And I think that's what got him because he sat there on his knees after he got leg picked. And I'm like, you have to move. And he sat there and I don't think Makachev, Islam, he sat there, wasn't trying to rest, so he grabbed his neck, and it was a wrap.
Yeah, dominant win by Makachev. So there's two things about this fight. I guess the aftermath of the fight, Poirier, he didn't retire officially, but he pretty much indicated this may be the end of the road for him. So, do we think this is the end for Dustin the Diamond Poirier? I?
I don't think it is. I think he's still pretty peak of his career, and he can still put on good fights. He can still make a lot of money. He doesn't have anything to gain, but he doesn't really have anything to lose. You know, he's been up there towards the top. He's fought for the belt. He hasn't made it. If I was him, I'd wait around another year, see if somebody can pick Makachev off. Maybe somebody that's, Dustin's already beat or somebody he thinks he could beat. Maybe make one more run at it. But while Makachev's up there, he can't.
Interesting take. What do you think, Steve?
Maybe so. I think he got a gift from the UFC for coming off that loss and then coming back with a win with Denise and then getting a championship fight. He didn't go through the ringer of 5 fights, or 4-fight winning streak to get a championship. So I don't know if they're going to give him another one of those. I don't think he'll retire just for another money fight. The news that I've heard, I don't know, but maybe there's I don't want to say it now, but maybe there's possibilities for the future for a fight, for a rematch. And I'm not sure if y'all saw the tabloids with the canceled fight with Chandler and Conor. You want to say that?
We'll talk about that a little later.
But maybe, possibly, maybe that's why he'll stick around.
I don't think it's anything for him to stick around because he's not getting another title fight, not at lightweight. So what are you fighting for? He's already financially secure. He doesn't need to stick around and lose brain cells doing fun fights, running it back with a Gaethje for a third time or anything like that. So if no title to fight for, why stick around? And he's got a little daughter to take care of and wants to have all his faculties when he's older. So I think I'm leaning towards him retiring unless he moves down a weight class. I would be intrigued with him and Ilya Topuria fighting, or him fighting Alexander Volkanovski. That's where he made his name in. When I was finding out who he was a featherweight, and we've seen older fighters drop down weight. We saw that with Jose Aldo. He dropped down weight later on in his career. And who's the guy that fought had the show with John Anik? He dropped down like two weight classes. So yeah, so I wouldn't be mad at him maybe trying to get another featherweight run, but I don't know if there's much for him to do at lightweight right now. And who am I thinking of? the guy has a podcast with John Anik, and he used to fight in the UFC. He used to fight at welterweight and dropped all the way down to featherweight. Kenny Florian. I don't know why his name was slipping my mind.
Oh shit, Kenny Florian. I think when he was on the Ultimate Fighter, I think he was like light heavyweight, and then he ended up dropping down to welterweight or something. He started out really high.
Yeah, and he finished off his UFC career in the featherweight. So it's possible. It's not like boxing where once they're up there, you stay up there pretty much. I feel like you see more UFC fighters.
Kenny Florian was a middleweight on the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah. And he fought for the lightweight championship and finished his career with a loss fighting for the featherweight against Aldo. So yeah, I think it's either move down for Poirier or retire. But we'll see. But speaking of the champion, Islam, before we get into what's probably happened, Amma, you said you had an idea what you want him to do.
And there's only one person I think that is going to really give him a test, and it's related to the next topic as well. I think Michael Chandler is the only person that has a chance against Makhachev.
Why?
You're going to need somebody that has a crazy strong wrestling base.
That 11 uses it anymore, though.
But I mean, he's a world-class wrestler. He doesn't use it much anymore, but I guarantee you that would be all he trains if he, does get a fight like that. My opinion, the McGregor fight isn't going to happen. The UFC is going to owe Chandler big time for putting up with all this shit for, 2 years now almost. So I think, if that fight doesn't happen, or if it does happen and Chandler wins, I think Chandler is going to be the next in line for Makhachev.
I don't know if I see that happening. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes UFC wants to do good graces with the fighters, and sometimes they don't. But it's no use of beating around the bush in this topic. Let's just get into it. So Conor McGregor had a press conference scheduled for, was it Monday? And it got postponed. And Conor McGregor was being cryptic about it, saying it was circumstances beyond his control, but they were scheduled to have it in Dublin. And Michael Chandler was about to get on the plane, and they called him and told him it was canceled last minute. So both of y'all kind of touched it already. Y'all think this fight is canceled?
Something's going on, because I didn't watch the whole presser, but I know at one point during the presser, Dana White said he was leaving straight from there to get on a private charter jet to go to Ireland to handle some business. So obviously he knew something was going on. The presser wasn't until Monday. He didn't have to leave right away. We've had this fight, they were supposed to be on the Ultimate Fighter and fight right after. Then the movie happened, and just like so many different things have happened. The speculation is something happened with McGregor, especially with Chandler coming out and telling everybody I was about to get on the flight and they told me it was canceled. So that means it wasn't anything with Chandler. What else could it be? It's kind of weird having a presser in Dublin for a fight that's in Vegas anyway, but I mean, I get why they're doing it. Conor McGregor's their biggest star. They're doing it in his home country, but to cancel it, something's going on. Either he's injured, he doesn't want to do it. Maybe he tested hot, allegedly, speculating. I mean, there could be a lot of other things, but this is what happens. The UFC isn't being transparent about it. So we're sitting here left to guess what's going on when it's arguably the biggest fight of the year.
So does this fight still happen, if you were to guess? Late June.
It's scheduled for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I'm going with no. I'm saying the fight is off, because with them canceling the press conference, like I said, this is what's happening. Everybody's speculating. If you get on any of the forums, that's all they're talking about. they would come out and say everything's fine. This happened. We had to cancel it. Fight's still on, but we haven't got that. I would bet dollars to donuts right now. They're scrambling looking for a backup fight.
Okay, what do you think, Steve?
And this fight was just announced like a week ago, right? Week or two ago?
Yeah, like 2 or so.
I think Conor. Yeah, then again, you've been training for this fight for years. But as far as the official, to give his time serious preparation, who knows what he's been doing? I say most likely it's too close to the deadline. I don't think he had a quick notice before like that. 4 weeks out and then trained in. I don't think he's trading way longer than that for any fights before. I think I remember.
Didn't they announce the fight after UFC 300 at the press conference?
Yeah, you're right. So it's been more than 2 weeks. But even if they just announced it at that, he's known. Conor McGregor calls the shot, so it's not like they're catching him off guard. He's known probably a long time before they actually announced it. So take that for what it's worth. You gonna say something else though, Steve?
Yeah, I was just wondering that. Like I said, Conor's a busy man. Maybe UFC is interrupting his schedule now. I think that's what Dana wants to prevent. Too many Conors.
I think the fight still happens. It's just too close. If they do have to have a backup fight, it's going to be probably the worst spot pay-per-view of the year because I don't even know who you could put in there outside of having a quick turnaround for a champion or just throw a champion in there just for the sake of it and throw off the upcoming schedule. But I think the fight still happens. It's Conor. I mean, he could just be having a diva moment and they didn't have the right type of rollout for him. He probably would do some stupid shit like that. So nothing surprised me about this guy. Amar is leaning towards they not having a fight. I think they probably will still have it, but I don't know. I really don't care until not even the week of the fight, till the day of the fight. And then that's when I know that, we're on and popping. But with that being said, getting back to the main topic at hand, you think that if Conor falls out of the fight, then Islam will face Chandler, but you don't think anybody else in the division could challenge Islam outside of Chandler? I don't even think that would be that competitive.
I don't think there's anybody that could mess with Islam. He's going to take everybody down. A lot of those guys that are in that top 10 are ground guys. Oliveira, we've already seen that. Somebody like a Dariush. A lot of them are ground fighters that Islam's going to eat up on the ground. A lot of them are strikers that Islam's going to just take down and eat up on the ground. If who else you going to throw in there? You going to throw a Holloway in there? You going to throw a Gaethje in there?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't faced Gaethje yet, so.
But I mean, didn't Dustin submit Gaethje? No, that was
Gaethje knocked him out the last time they fought.
Right.
And then Gaethje lost to Holloway.
Right, but somebody like Holloway, what's Islam going to do to Holloway if they fight? He's going to get a hold of him.
Okay, well, let's talk about a likely scenario at the end of the fight during not the press conference, through the post-fight interview. Islam said he wants to go up a weight class to challenge himself. So how would Islam fare well against Leon Edwards? Because that's probably what they're leaning towards. Islam facing Leon Edwards for the undisputed welterweight championship.
I don't think they're going to do that. I mean, Islam's got how many title defenses? One?
Yeah. Well, we know that's not an issue. Him not barely defending the belt before jumping up. I've seen it happen.
Right. I mean, I would like to move up to welterweight. You're going to have a little bit bigger guys that are stronger that can, kind of match up with him better. I think a Leon Edwards fight with him would be good. I would give a slight edge to Leon Edwards.
Yeah, that's probably like the biggest jump besides like light heavyweight and middleweight. 15 pounds between lightweight and welterweight. So who will he be able to deal with that weight jump?
I think so. I think he would deal with it okay, but I think he's going to be just a little bit undersized still, and I think that's where the welterweights would have the advantage over him and make it a little bit more level playing field because he's just so good, man. He's strong with the takedown, strong with the wrestling on the ground. I want to see it.
What are your thoughts, Steve?
Yeah, I think I would lean more towards Edwards, just considering, I think Kamaru, what was there a talk between Kamaru and Khabib? But anyways, just the fact that he defended the second fight with Kamaru's takedowns and pretty well, and first and second fight survived, gives me more lead to it could even out with Islam just because of the weight difference and the strength. Plus Leon Edwards striking. I would lean towards more Leon if that fight were ever to be booked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what happens. We've seen other fighters jump up and not really have an issue with the weight, and his fighting style would say that would translate up there. It's not like he's at lightweight just cold knocking people out. He's showing to improve on the striking, so I think he'll fare well up there. And who knows if Edwards is still a champion? He has a fight in 2 months. Coming up I think they're having that one overseas, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong, but we'll see what Bilal Muhammad and whatnot. And that the world would burn if Bilal Muhammad wins the belt. He has a lot of haters, but hey, you can't knock him if he's winning. So we'll keep our eye out on what happens with that. But like Admire says, it doesn't really like a lot of people could beat Islam. He doesn't have really a lot of holes in his game, and he's shown he's able to tough fights out. So I'm curious to see what his next move is. But before we get on out here, overall, this card was nothing to rave about. Not a whole lot of action going on outside the main event and a couple other moments. Kind of snooze fest, but I want to get y'all thoughts on this. This was kind of a parading of this is not a political show, but you got to observe things. It's kind of a parading of a certain ex-president, and I want to get y'all thoughts if Dana White's a hypocrite or not. It's not a political show. We support everybody, whatever you want to believe in. But a few years ago, Dana White said, UFC is not a place for politics. We don't want to talk about the pandemic. We just want people to get away. They didn't want to talk about a lot of the police brutality that was going on 3 or 4 years ago. And this past weekend was basically a celebration of ex-President Trump, and they're basically showing that they lean one way. So is Dana White hypocritical for saying that in the past it's not political, but then just parading politics around this weekend? I'll get your thoughts on it, Admire.
A little bit, but I think it's a little bit different as well because him and Trump have been personal friends for a long time. UFC, Donald Trump, they hosted one of the early 90s UFCs. Like they've been around, been friends, been in the same circles for a long time. So I think it's that they're friends, but it is hypocritical for him to push a lot of it as well. But I mean, Dana White gave a speech at one of the
it was the Republican National
Convention or
This was like in 2016.
Yeah. So, I think that's where Dana kind of started going down that road. I'm sure Dana White gets money from him for doing this. Maybe Dana White pays him to be there. It gets more eyes on the UFC. I don't know. But I mean, we've always seen that different people and have different rules for Dana White. So different situations are going to have different rules for him too. So it is kind of hypocritical for sure.
And I get Dana White as his friend even before he got into politics, but Dana White's he's the president, but he's not like a shareholder, and his people ranked higher than Dana White. So I don't know, it just seems a little odd. And like you said, I don't know. I'll get your thoughts on this, Steve, before I expound on my thought.
I don't know what all Dana. Well, he's president, of course, but does that qualifies fight promotion? Does that qualify how you're going to promote the company and include it? I don't know if to who he wants to, or if he personally shoots an idea to whoever else is in charge with how do you get more views to the UFC. I don't know. I don't know if Trump is personally asking, "Hey, I like UFC. Can I get a ticket?" And Trump, you can sit on the front row. Like, I don't know how it's being conducted.
And like I said earlier, whatever politics you believe in, like who you want, but I'm just saying on the other side of things, don't condemn people for if they say what they like and you just agree with it and try to silence them. Let everybody speak. If you like a certain politician, let you speak, and if somebody else likes another one, don't shit on them and silence them. So if you're gonna let everybody say what they want or have nobody say what they want. And Admire, you touched on it, like you see how it's a little bit hypocritical.
Yeah, it is. But Dana White's never been consistent with rules and who gets away with what and who does what.
True. Just a thought, but
yeah,
I'll bring it. Go ahead.
Did you see the other good fight Saturday night in the crowd at the event?
I read on it, but I didn't see it. What exactly happened?
So this dude with long hair was just running his mouth at this other guy. So the long-haired guy had the higher spot in the stands. The other guy was down low. The other guy socked him, man. And then they were fighting, and the dude knocked the long-haired guy down a couple chairs. And then they made it all the way down to the front row of the upper. And the guy that was getting beat up, him and two of his buddies grabbed the guy and threw him over the railing.
Wow. Like, how long was the drop?
You couldn't see it. I think it was just like, it wasn't far. It was the front of it. They didn't like throw him off a balcony or like the upper deck, but they threw him from one section to like, how they'll have a section of seats and then a big drop and a walkway and then more seats. You'll have to look it up on TikTok. It's on there. It's a pretty wild crowd fight. And then the other fight that went on this weekend, Deontay Wilder.
Oh, yeah. Deontay Wilder got knocked out, and we'll be discussing that more in depth on the boxing show. But yeah, this might be it for Deontay Wilder. Zhang is a powerful dude, but I don't know where you go here with Wilder.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah,
he made a career using that hard punch and knocking people out, but it's caught up.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a lot of with these past few weekends with the heavyweight division. Anything can happen with that division now, but I guess that's a discussion we could expound on the boxing show. But we're coming to the end of this show. We got at the end of this month a UFC 303 that may or may not be happening. So if it does happen, we may get on and do a live show just because it's Conor McGregor, and we may not know if this might be his last fight, the frequency that he fights at. But I'm looking up and down this card. Yeah, man, they're kind of, man, they're reverting back to not having that many intriguing pay-per-views. We got 303 and not 303, 300 that was exciting, and 299 before that. But this is top heavy. You got MVP fighting Ian Machado. That's intriguing. Hill and Ulberg. I don't know. If y'all were a casual fan, would y'all even shell out the money for this?
Yeah, just because it's McGregor. I mean, there's a couple good ones on there. You got Jamal Hill on there. You know, the MVP fight. I'm a Cub Swanson fan fighting Feely.
Yeah. That's like a fight night card. Cub Swanson and Feely.
Karate Hottie, Andre Arlovsky.
Oh, I didn't even see Arlovsky, but it's not your Arlovsky from 2006, the heavyweight champion. Yeah. It's fine. It's fine, but if I were a casual fan, I'd be hesitant paying for that fight. But we'll see if this card is still intact when we get around to it in about 3 weeks. But yeah, that'll do it for us here at Haymaker Combat Sports. Make sure to follow us on IG, X's, Spotify, Apple, and also on YouTube. And make sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, be safe out there. Later.
Hit the takedown, ground and pound. That was from the top. Heel hooking, no more plot to leave you in the knot. Pound for pound,